Today, we are looking at all the Marvel comics published with a cover date of August 1964. Stan Lee and the gang put out 14 comics this month, and we're going to look at the details of all the superhero genre books today, starting with Amazing Spider-Man 15. Now, this was the 161st Marvel Silver Age superhero comic since starting up in 1961. And this is a major key book featuring the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. Nice action cover, blue background cover, also features the chameleon in the bottom corner. This is the 10th most valuable first appearance Marvel comic of 1964. Print run of this book estimated at 320,000 copies. Spider-Man was now truly becoming a really popular book at this time, especially with the college-age crowd. Looking at CGC census, we can see demand is really growing for this book in the last few years. It's doubled on the CGC census. There's now over 2,300 copies graded, but there's only 9.6s or higher. Heritage Auctions has sold almost 400 copies in the last 2 decades. Using the Overstreet annual price guide, we can see the growth of this book over time. And you will see that in low grades, the book has roughly tripled. And in high grades, the book has gone about 4 times. But what you should notice is just the last 3 years alone, the book has doubled. This market is on fire for this book at this moment. Totally considered an undervalued key book. On the CGC census, there are only 2 9.8s and 7 9.6s. There are a bunch of the UK price variants graded, but the highest is a 9.0. Also on the newsstands this month, we have Avengers number 7. This features Rick Jones slipping into Bucky's old costume. The Avengers take on Baron Zemo, the Executioner, and the Enchantress. We have Jack Kirby cover and interior art on this early issue of the series, featuring all the famous members of the gang. On the census, we can see there's almost 800 copies graded by CGC. Only 5 9.6s or better. Heritage is now at 187 copies sold. The Overstreet price guide, we see that this is a very affordable book. It's had very little movement overall in lower grades. It's only, in fact, gone up $12 in 17 years. In higher grades, the book has almost tripled. And this is raw 9.2 grade. Now, keep in mind, if you want to look up recent eBay sales for CGC copies, especially super high grade ones, and also on the gpanalysis.com, you can see what the highest grade copies are doing, breaking records all the time. We have only 1 9.8 of this book and 4 9.6s, only a few of the UK price variants graded, the highest being a 9.0. Daredevil number 3 was out as well this month. Very early issue. First appearance of the Owl, who is one of his master criminals that he would fight. Cover by Jack Kirby, interior art by Joe Orlando. Print run estimated at 200,000 copies. Gray background cover. Comics for 12 cents at this time. On the CGC census, you can see again demand has been growing. It's doubled in the last 6 years. Over 1,000 copies now. 13 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold quite a few at 279 copies. Daredevil in his yellow costume. In the Overstreet price guide, this is another one of these books that really has had very little movement in low grade. It's only gone up $8 in 17 years. So be watching for that. When you look at eBay prices, see if you can actually find deals on books like this in low grade. It's possible sometimes. In high grade, the book has doubled raw. There are 2 9.8s and 11 9.6s. Again, not many of the UK price variants graded, the highest being only an 8.0. Fantastic 429 was running monthly, and this was their Marvel's first Silver Age title. And it was selling just about as good as Spider-Man at this time. Those are the 2 big titles. This one features the gang battling the Red Ghost and his Super Apes. The Watcher is also in this issue. Classic cover on Yancey Street. Not many copies graded this book, though. Only 404, 9.6s or higher. Heritage has only sold 93. So if you like cover art, this book is perhaps undervalued. Again, very little movement in low grades. It's almost been stalled for a decade. In high grades, the book has gone up 2.5 times in raw condition. There are no 9.8s existing of this book. There are 9 9.6s and also one restored 9.6. And only one of the UK price variants has ever been graded. It is a 9.0. Journey into Mystery 107. This was now the 25th issue featuring Thor as the main feature. It's the origin and first appearance of the Grey Gargoyle, who is Paul Pierre Duval. It's also the first appearance of Carnilla. This issue features Jack Kirby cover and art. Print run estimated at 205,000 copies. On the census, only 345 copies graded and only 6 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold 74. Overstreet Price Guide, this book has doubled in lower grades and it has tripled in higher grades, but still very affordable book. $625 for a near mint 9.2 raw copy. There are 3 9.8s and 3 9.6s, only 2 UK price variants graded, the highest being a 9.0. Next on our list, Marvel Tales Annual #1. Now, this is my favorite book of the month. I consider this book very historic in the chain of events, making Marvel eventually the biggest comic company in the world. This is a reprint book. It is an annual. It is a 72-page giant. What's important about this book is that it is the first time that Marvel really goes on a campaign to reprint and bring in new readers into the origins and first appearances of some of their main characters. And here we get the reprint of Amazing Fantasy 15 with the first appearance of a Spider-Man. We've also got Hulk, Giant Man and Wasp, Thor, Sergeant Fury, and Iron Man. This book was overlooked for many years because it is a reprint book that many people didn't see the collectible point of view of this book. But now people are starting to catch on and realize that this is early Marvel history, and this would really help build Marvel fandom with this title. Of course, Marvel would be doing this for the next 60 years, basically. This is a very important thing that Marvel does. Now, there are only 310 copies graded by CGC and only 1 9.6 or higher in existence. Heritage has sold 77 copies. Underlooked, undervalued, again, very cheap in the price guide. It's only gone up $8 in 17 years in lowest grades. So not much movement at all. It has more than doubled in top raw grades, but even then, good luck finding one. There are no 9.8s. There is one 9.6. There is an interesting Canadian edition of this and many of the Marvel annuals in the mid-60s. The difference is that the Canadian edition has a blank back cover. And there's only a few of those out there, 11 copies graded, and the highest being about a 9.2. Also on the stands this month, we have Sergeant Fury #9. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. This book features an Adolf Hitler cover and a Nazi swastika emblem, story and art by Dick Ayers. There are 119 copies graded by CGC. Only 3 9.6s or higher, and Heritage has only sold 29. This has a cream white background cover, tough to find in high grade, and it's not a superhero title, so again, fewer copies saved in high grade. Again, in low grades, almost no movement. In 17 years, it's gone up $3. The copies are out there. Go find the low grades. But of course, we know the high grades are really rare. The book has more than doubled in high grade raw. On the census, there is only 1 9.8 and 2 9.6s. There is a restored 9.6. There are no UK price variant copies of this book graded at all. Strange Tales 123. This was the 21st issue in a row featuring the Human Torch as the main feature of the issue. Now, the Beetle makes his first appearance in this issue in the Human Torch store. And Thor also makes his first crossover appearance in the Doctor Strange story. And they take down Loki in this issue. We've got Jack Kirby cover art on this book. Not many copies at all graded of this one, only 210 in total by CGC. There are 12 9.6s or higher. Heritage has sold only 34. Another cream white background cover, tough to find. Marvel chipping on a lot of books at this time, making high grade books really hard to find. This is a fun action cover. We've got Human Torch, we got Doctor Strange, Loki, Thor, and The Thing, all featured on the cover. In low grades, the book has doubled over this long period of time, and it's almost quadrupled in high grades raw. But again, very affordable book. You should be able to hunt out a super high grade of this book if you can find one, and it won't be too expensive. There are 3 9.8s and 9 9.6s. Only one of the UK price variant ever graded, and it is an 8.0. Also out this month, we have Tales of Suspense 56. This was now the 18th issue in a row featuring Iron Man. We've got a Jack Kirby cover, and this is the first appearance of the unicorn in this issue. On the CGC census, there are 300 copies graded, 9 are 9.6 or higher. Heritage has sold 55 copies. In the Overstreet Price Guide, this book has more than doubled in low grades, and it has tripled and a bit in high grades for us. So definitely demand for this book growing, a lot of interest in low-key these days, early issues, but still a very affordable book. We're getting into books now that, are, under $1,000 even in high grade. And we have only 1 9.8 and 8 9.6s, none of the UK price variants graded. And we have Tales to Astonish 58. This book features a Captain America appearance. We've got Giant Man and the Wasp, as always, in this issue. Jack Kirby cover art again. This book very low on the census. Only 175 copies graded in all conditions. There's only 4 9.6s or higher. Heritage has only sold 52 copies ever. Overstreet Price Guide, it's almost doubled in lower grades in this time period. And it has 2.5 times up in higher grades raw. On the census, there are 2 9.8s, 2 9.6s, only 2 of the UK price variants graded, the average being a 6.0. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to compare all these books on the CGC census. Which ones are truly the rare ones? Which ones are the ones that everybody's hoarding? Now, books of this time period, this is still where most Marvel comics are not saved. They're read and they're thrown out or they're given away to their buddies, and they just don't survive in high grade. So we're very lucky that there are any at all. So let's look at the CGC census and see what we find. As we noted, some of these books do not even have a single 9.8, including Marvel Tales 1 and Fantastic Four 29. They just don't have a copy. But all the books on the list do have 9.6s. So if we compare and count the 9.6s and 9.8s together, we'll see the most common book on the list is Daredevil 3. There are 13. And we'll also see that Strange Tales 123 has 12. The rarest book overall in the super high grades appears to be possibly Tales to Astonish 58 and Sergeant Fury number 9 and Marvel Tales number 1. So here's a good cross-reference just to see all the books featured this month in our video and just see what's going on with these books. The book that's by far graded the most, Amazing Spider-Man 15, it's a major key issue, and it's the most popular title that people collect. So there's over 2,300 copies graded in total, followed by Daredevil number 3. Why? Because it's also a key issue, and it's an early issue. After that, the numbers on the census really drop low, and the lowest one being Sergeant Fury 9 with only 119 copies, followed by Tales to Astonish 58, only has 175. Features Captain America, early appearance, and yet that's very low on the census. So there you go. That's all the books for August 1964 from Marvel Comics. We do this every week. Please subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.